I'm always encouraging people, hey, record your ancestors. Do it over the holidays. Do it whenever you're together. You will not regret it. Would you like to hear your great-grandfather telling his stories and talking about my auntie said this, or we used to go down to the well and do that? Would you like to hear those things? And if so, here's a recording of him.
Halito. Sahochufoyat, Rachael Youngman,
podcast host of Native ChocTalk, a podcast by natives for all. When you say voice, it really is a deeper meaning, of course. And my meaning came from my great-grandmother. So she had a very interesting story. It was a very hard life having to do with non-native guardians who had taken over her land and had taken her under their guardianship when she was only 3 years old. My great-grandmother was this, like most grandmothers, sweet, always cooking for us. She would crochet, but she was so quiet about the things that had happened in her lifetime. We knew some of it, but again, we didn't know all of it. And after she passed away, I realized there was so much more that needed to be preserved. So my sister, when she was in college, she had actually taken a course on something having to do with your family history, your tree. She had interviewed my great-grandmother. She had written this paper, and when she gave me that paper, I put it in a filing cabinet. And then at some point, when my great-grandmother passed away, I was having all these regrets, like most of us do. And I was thinking, I didn't spend enough time with her. I didn't do enough. I didn't ask enough questions. And I was laying in bed one night, and I remembered that my sister had given me that paper. And so I was like, oh, those are her words. If I can pull that up, I can pull up my great-grandmother's words. And so I did. And I sat there and cried even more, just learning more about her life. She did go into more detail with my sister. And to get to read those things was just, it was heavy. It was very heavy, from her going under the guardianship to the way she and her sister, half-sister, and her aunts and uncles were treated and all that. So it was a lot to take in. And knowing that she was always such a positive, kind person, you would never know the things that she had gone through. Growing up in Anadarko, Oklahoma, I had also started thinking about all the stories I had heard growing up, because it's mainly Plains Native Americans there. We've got Comanche, Kiowa, Apache there, and my dad worked at Riverside Indian School, and we hung out with a lot of people that had amazing ancestral stories. It just dawned on me, I've got my great-grandmother's stories, I've got the stories I've heard from my hometown, and I'd love to hear more of that, but I'd also like to preserve it with people, and especially with our Choctaw tribe. I really wanted to hear from other Choctaws. So really the podcast is about ancestral stories, but it's also about tribal history, culture, and traditions, so that we can keep those things alive for other people and generations to come. I think for a long time, people didn't know how to approach Native Americans to be able to ask questions and to understand better what's the proper nomenclature, what is offensive, what's not offensive. And I really wanted people to feel more open. I'm part Choctaw and part a few other things, like most people. And I also sometimes would go to, say, a powwow, and I'd think, oh, I don't know if I can participate. Is it okay? And so over the years, I've gotten bolder and just said, I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to try to find out more about how I can participate as well, because I do have a passion for our Native communities, all Native communities. I feel like I have a big responsibility that I put on myself to, first of all, capture as many stories as possible. I feel a sense of urgency literally every single day. There are probably more people like me out there, Native Americans, who really wish that they could preserve their ancestral stories, the things that have been passed down orally over the years that we all know that has been dust in the wind. I really wanted to give others their own voice. I think there's just such a sense of reaching out to each other, helping each other, supporting each other, no matter what we're doing. Together, we're more really does mean community. I have met so many people that have found their roots with the Choctaw Nation, and we are so much more when we work together. I think one thing about our tribe that's beautiful is that we're a very giving tribe. We help others. We have for a very long time. We all need each other more than we possibly know. It's amazing what we can do when we come together.